Earning money by protecting the environment, surely not a bad business model. Our next report concerns living memorials. We're talking about trees. They symbolize life and durability, as well as healthy environment. We offer a shade, or they offer a shade, store water and absorb CO2, carbon dioxide. Some live for hundreds of years, some look really impressive. In Switzerland, a tree museum is exhibiting 2,000 of them. EcoAid Africa takes you along for a walk in the park.
This is not simply a beautiful park, it's also a sanctuary for trees. The landscape architect Enzo Enea rescued most of the trees here. They had been discarded by their owners and were heading for the scrap heap or the sawmill.
What you see here is a kind of installation. I've collected these trees over the past 25 years. I pay tribute to trees which might instead have been killed or felled. Everything you see here was once a reject, which others were going to throw away. I call this a museum because I've placed the trees in a particular configuration.
The 7.5-hectare open-air museum is located near Lake Zurich.
I want to show how landscape architecture can mirror our society or our development. You can see how the younger generation wants to be outdoors again, probably in response to digitalization. We are always working on our phones and computers. But we need something to offset that, something different. What we've created here is a place for contemplation, where people can also think about where fruit comes from, not from a shopping mall, but from a tree.
Enea is one of the world's leading landscape architects. His firm has a staff of about 250. Still, he doesn't see himself as part of the mainstream. Enea's projects, whether they're in the US, China, Southeast Asia or Europe, are about respecting the cultural context and the environment.
It's the location and the way the sunlight falls that determine which plant goes where, and the geology. Is the ground sandy or rocky or loamy? That determines what grows and what doesn't. What we do is not mere decoration.
Landscape architecture isn't a simple, speedy process. It takes time for a garden to come into its own.
It has to function as a whole, because it's alive. It's not static, like a work of architecture made of stone. That's the challenge, to create something precious for future generations.
It takes a visionary to create such an idyllic garden in the here and now.
Heading back to Africa, if there is a bird widely associated with arid landscapes, it's the vulture. These scavenging birds of prey play an important role in the ecosystem. Yet in Africa, as in many other parts of the world, they face extinction.
Indeed, NT, especially here in South Africa. They're all too often poisoned so that their body parts can be used for traditional medicine, or they're killed by poachers. The Endangered Wildlife Trust is fighting to protect these much maligned creatures.
When she needs to buy ingredients for her remedies, Philly Motlasedi doesn't go to a pharmacy. She goes to a muti, or traditional medicine market in Johannesburg. Here she can find everything a sangoma, a traditional South African healer, needs. It's a thriving business, but sadly also costs the lives of many endangered animals. Vultures are one prominent example. A bird like this costs the equivalent of 200 euros at the market.
They use mostly the eyes and the head. for clairvoyances. That's what they say, because it can see from a distance.
The consequences for the vulture population are disastrous. In the past 30 years, their numbers in Africa have dropped by up to 80%. André Botha manages the Endangered Wildlife Trust's Birds of Prey program, which is trying to save Africa's vultures. Vultures are the continent's waste disposal service. As scavengers, they feed on carrion, which hinders the spread of disease. Botha says that these days their greatest enemy is poison. It's easily available and inexpensive.
So what you see there is how quick and easy it is to lure birds in to come and feed. And that's unfortunately what a poacher does in exactly the same way. The only difference is that they put down poison baits. They kill the birds and they then go and sell them for money.
Africa's large savannas are closed ecosystems. Each animal species has a specific place in it. But time and again, the rise in poaching incidents throws the system out of equilibrium. Every 15 minutes, an elephant is killed by poachers in Africa by means of firearms or poison. Game wardens found this dead elephant in a remote stream. André Botha suspects it died a natural death since its tusks haven't been removed.
The birds will come down in large numbers, up to 400 vultures will come and feed on it over a number of days. Unfortunately, in certain parts of southern Africa, poachers have taken to poisoning carcasses like this. And what they do is eradicate the vultures from a particular area to mask their activities so that rangers can't pick up on what they're doing.
Learning about the behavior of vultures is no less important. They're currently being studied by a group of researchers. But first, they have to catch one. And that takes plenty of patience.
Maybe the distance isn't too far between.
Okay.
And an ability to sprint at the right moment.
There we go. We capture these birds and then we fit these wing tags to them, we ring them, and we also, in some cases, harness them to follow their movements, to track where they go and find food within their range across southern Africa, and that enables us to sort of get an idea of the areas where they potentially could be exposed to threats.
André Botha's aim is to eliminate those threats as well as he can, so that there will still be a place for vultures in the skies over Africa.